Hey everybody, welcome back to Dance Studio Advertising. I'm Bryce Conlan, and if you're watching on video, you see that I've got a friend in the room with me. I'd like to introduce to you Jamie Hodgins. If you don't know him, you probably should. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bryce. It's nice to see you virtually this time.
Yeah, well, that's right, because we were both in San Diego for the More Than Just Great Dancing event, and that's where we met and connected. And we were booth buddies. You were next to me on the other side, and I was really interested by what it is that you do. So that's as perfect a tee up as any. Tell me a little bit about who you are and why we're here today.
Well, long story short, I'm Jamie Hodgins, Executive Director of the largest safety and fairness movement in dance history, period. I have had, my whole life a front row seat to athlete treatment versus dancer treatment via my sister, who is now president and CEO of the Canada Games Council. So I was a competitive dancer, adjudicator, teacher, choreographer, worked for studios. Now I have my own event. And I just find, I talk to my friends, I talk to colleagues, people that own events. There are some issues. There are safety and fairness gaps that we all talk about in the wings or in the car ride home on the way home from an event. But there's really no comprehensive industry wide solution. And I think it is all an ID number. It is a shared ID system that we can all get behind because we can verify our competitor data. And most importantly, we can create an online guardianship to make sure that we're protecting our media. We're making sure that we're adding more privacy compliance to this industry that has been labeled the wild, wild west, right? It's because we're all operating in silos and, there's registration systems over here and, class management systems over here. And it actually devalues a lot that's done at the studio level and creates a lot of hard hurdles or hoops for them to jump through. So all we're saying is we are here to verify who we are in this beautiful industry, open an ID number, and we can start to honor dancers over division. We can start to offer privacy controls to a parent in 2026 when there are laws that exist for a reason. So it is a massive movement. It's hard to understand, Bryce, because it means something different for every person. But essentially, it's just highlighting the fact that we're not careful enough with our data, the data of our dance families, their media. And ICDR is finally saying we can verify who someone is. We can unlock that participant ID that is available, privacy compliant for anyone that wants to integrate with us. So that's the sort of short, answer to that question. Yeah, yeah. But, it's really just adding structure to this beautiful industry that is so powerful, and we need to support our dancers more online. We need to give parents more assurances, and we need to support our studios. Not most importantly, they're all part of it, right? We're sending data all over the place right now, and we're just trying to centralize a lot of, that through structure, through, verification. A parent does go on icdrdance.com and they verify using government issue photo ID. It does not take a photo of that ID, but it makes sure that the person that is verifying is a real person in real time with a selfie likeness check, and then it deletes those photos immediately and retains that audit trail. And then we supply that verified connection to anyone that integrates with us. It's that simple, but this industry is not that simple.
Well, so this is fascinating. So we started talking, because again, your booth from ICDR was next to mine at the More Than Just Great Dancing event. And when I don't know and did not know, because I'm not a dancer, I did not grow up with this. I don't know what privacy concerns exist at the competition level. I don't know what's going, was totally clueless. This was very eye-opening for me as a dance dad. So this is one of those things that when you started breaking it down and explaining to me where my child's data is ending up without my consent or knowledge, it became immediately concerning, I think. And so I'm curious, where did this for you start? Like how that sure you grew up dancing. There's a lot of things I grew up doing, but I don't feel called or compelled to go and uh, revolutionize those industries, right? Um, how did this become so personal for you?
I think it was because of my sister, seeing all the advancements and the opportunities that she had as an athlete versus me as a dancer, and having worn so many hats, like so many of the people listening today, I just started asking a whole bunch of questions. Why things are so difficult sometimes on studio directors in terms of registration, why we are passing data unverified every which way in this industry with little regard of how it's being protected. And to be honest, change is historically difficult in dance. It's scary. It's very personal. It is an art form, but the subjectivity of what we do does not negate our responsibility to honor these dancers' journeys and to evolve with the times. So, as I was adjudicating, like you, Bryce, I didn't see the redemption paths on media because I don't have children, right? I have many students, thousands of students across my career that their parents go through media redemption, where you literally sometimes, because it's different per competition and different per provider, but sometimes dancers' full names are attached to a studio location, and if you get there first and supply a birth date, their birth date, which is often available via their social media, or some very alarming websites that list dancer birth dates in the thousands,
Mm.
you can retrieve the media of a dancer, and the parent is like, well, where did my media go? Right? We've just sort of accepted that this is the way it is in dance and this is the way it has to be. And I think, with a whole bunch of my event partners in Canada and the US and my technology partners, we are ideating on solutions to help close those safety gaps in terms of the vulnerability of performance media of minors not wearing hockey gear, and also the fairness gaps. Because what happened to actually verifying the ages of our competitors? We've never really done it. However, there was a time where my teacher's generation, not really mine, I'm 43 years old, by the way. I might look a little young, but I've been around the block. So I understand, almost every hat in this industry. And there's obviously more to learn. But we've kind of going back to what I was saying before, we've just sort of accepted things as this is the way they are, when all of my partners were ideating on the solutions to actually help our studio directors save time, to be more privacy compliant, to honor a dancer with a verified record that shouldn't be restricted by what provider that competition uses, right? I think there's a lot of power in transparency, in collaboration. And I think that's what ICDR is finally bringing to the table as an industry-wide solution.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, devil's advocate for a moment, right? I'm imagining studio owners are hearing this. I'm imagining they're going, great. That's another thing that I have to be compliant about, that I have to sign up for, emails that I'm going to get, right? It's another hoop I got to jump through. Devil's advocate
Right.
on this, is this, like you gave an example about parents having their dancers' media redeemed by somebody else. Is this really a big problem, or is this creating a solution to a problem that maybe doesn't really exist?
It's a problem. We're not talking about how, vulnerable this media is, but there are some competitions that have front facing galleries, where the only firewall or the only restriction is a payment firewall. So you can purchase anyone's videos or photos. And that's, one angle in terms of the media. Then there are other competitions that are sending Dropbox links, Google Drive links, or Zenfolio links, expecting a studio director to filter through those photos and images, those videos, and separate them into folders and send them to their respectful families. They're too busy. That doesn't happen. So that link gets shared to mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, boyfriend. And that's how we start seeing these videos end up on very alarming accounts, because we're not controlling the distribution point, right? We're moving ahead, Bryce, into a lot of competitions that are adding these media fees that the parents do ultimately pay for via the studio. So yes, it can get expensive, and that's on top of choreography, on top of training, on top of everything. But we also need to identify that these problems can be solved with one simple verification solution. And that is our service. The ICDR, that is our service to the industry. I have a team of people, salaries to pay, and we are promising to take us out of the wild, wild west and deliver verified records, deliver participant accident insurance, which is available in sport, but has never been available on an industry-wide scale for dance. So it's essentially that protective association, custom built to solve the collective pain points we've all talked about for decades, right? This is also, Bryce, I should say, being built with lived experience, like industry advisors, competition advisors, studio advisors, to make sure that we are modeling our subscriptions, because they will get passed to the guardian level or the studio level. So I'm being very honest. I'm being very transparent with you. It's hard to understand, this new direction of how we can centralize and protect data, and that all these registration providers or class management systems can ask for that data on demand, and it's protected, anonymized behind an ID number, right? That is sort of the new concept that we're ushering forth. And the studio directors that didn't really understand that concept of, the registration providers just pulling it on demand are now coming back to us saying, we really love this and we actually want clarity for our clientele. So if you could package the fees for us, then we can deliver them to our clientele, for the fall start season, right? So everyone's starting to come back around now. They're starting to realize not only what this does now, which is safeguard images and videos, but what can this do in the future to really help honor dancers, and all the work that they put in, all the money their parents are already investing. Trophies are great, but they do collect dust on a shelf, and you can't do much with that trophy. And realistically, Bryce, anyone can say they've won anything in this industry. We're trying to bring that legitimacy, that validation, which in my opinion, only expands a parent investment, because their bills are hefty, but then also offering accident insurance, offering support resources. We're really custom building a home platform for every stakeholder in this competitive experience to be the best version of themselves. I said dancers validation, record, parents assurances that we're protecting their data, that we're actually checking ages so that we can stop the whispers, she's probably not even 13. And we are working on level integrations too. So there are integrations we can have with class management systems, and we've already been in touch with some. And let's move on to the events. Bryce, the events are relying on the data they're supplied, period. And unfortunately, there are some bad actors, and not only there are some bad actors, but it's also years of mistakes, years of clerical errors, years of, duplicating profiles. So sometimes it's pulling from the wrong birth date. The parent can't get the media. There is an issue that all of our providers wouldn't announce publicly because it kind of shows, the non-efficacy of, right, exactly. But in their defense, they haven't had anything to help restrict that media download outside of that public birth date, right? That's what we're using instead of an ID number. So, yeah.
There's a lot here. So if you're a studio owner and you're listening and you're trying to keep up, because Jamie, this is the maybe third or fourth conversation that I think you and I have had in a one-on-one setting. And it took me a minute to go, wait, what is this now? And so just as simple as I can explain it to the non-techie, maybe not paying attention to all aspects of the industry, it is a It's an ID, a unique ID that is associated with a dancer. Think of it like a secret passcode. And when that dancer, the information gets passed to the organizations so that when you need to go get your data, your media, today you can use that. But in the future,
Right.
I think the coolest part of this is how it works to legitimize dance as a sport. Now, Jamie,
Yes.
you were telling me, and I thought this was super cool, that, and I know this for a fact because a friend of mine in college actually built something very similar to this as a student tracking, like performance record keeping, secure platform that for student athletes, right? And this is what he did,
Right.
and he built it and he sold it, and it was an amazing thing for for universities that were looking at scouting high school talent
Hmm.
for their programs. And now they had a
Right.
single source of truth to say, well, I know this kid's batting average and I know this, how many goals this goalie scored or blocked or whatever. I can see the record and it's been verified and I can trust it.
Yeah.
And so now it's an apples to apples comparison. And tell me a little bit more about that, because you said that this is going to also allow for dancers to be legitimized when they're looking
Yes.
at the college and the professional levels.
I mean, you're spot on, and you said it. I didn't even mention those words. You said it spot on. It's a single source of truth. Right now, there are multiple profiles for the same dancer on sometimes the same system, let alone multiple systems, right? We're trying to say, let's centralize that, let's protect that. And imagine in 5 years when, so many more competitions are integrated with us via their, providers, that if I was an event director following a weekend, I could press a button and send those verified wins to a private profile that the dancer sees, their verified parent sees, and the studio director sees. So, when we started this, Bryce, about 3 or 4 years ago, people were very concerned about tracking. I don't want you tracking my dancers. This is self-measured progress. I think this is something we owe the dancers. One of our event partners, he's absolutely wonderful, Jerome Bob, who owns Fever Dance Championships in Canada. He was one of the first ones to say, absolutely, Jamie, I've been thinking about this for like 10 years. I can't believe someone's finally doing it. He is on DanceBug, and DanceBug is really answering our call to strengthen their operations, because I do want to make something clear. We are not a registration system. We are not a competition. We are not a governing body. We are essentially the identity layer that can sit on any of those systems so that we're all working towards the same goal, which is opening opportunities for our dancers. So going back to what we were saying about that single source of truth, once those awards populate to a profile, they have a tangible record that they can use to apply for a part-time job. They can, with time, I can open up opportunities with colleges and universities, and I'm already in touch with them, right? This is going to bring that aspirational ladder back to dance, and it's just structure. It's just added structure to help our dancers climb to wherever they want to go. And I'm kind of jumping here, Bryce, apologies, but I do get very passionate about this, and it has been modeled after lived experience. But, some people have said that, oh, this is only for the aspiring dancer. Absolutely not. Every dancer is aware of what's in front of them. To say that the stakes are not high for them and that we shouldn't actually verify that the dancer they're against is actually the right age or the right level is wild to me, that someone could even say that, because whether you're in 2 routines or 22 routines, dance is important to that person. And they have spent so long getting that routine ready, training for that routine, the choreography, the costume, that sparkle moment on stage needs to just be honored instead of us worrying about ages or levels when it comes to showtime, right? We have a responsibility to offer the safest and most fair experience. And the kind of learning curve is that there is a different way to do things that is more privacy compliant. that's more collaborative, and that is of 2026 technology availability, I should say. Yeah.
So let's talk about that because it is 2026. I mean, this is a little wild. We're a quarter of the way through the 21st century, right? Technology has
Mhm.
obviously come a long way. Privacy policies and standards have become ubiquitous. I mean, I started building websites in 1996 and nobody had a privacy policy. And now if you want
Right.
to rank on any of the, the big three search engines, you have to have one. So like privacy is clearly, it's a big topic. But I
Yes.
imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, you have three stakeholders in this. You have the competitions and the events, you have the
Mhm.
studios, and you have the parents. That's a lot of people that need to buy in. How has adoption been to this point, and where are you seeing the biggest gains?
I mean, I would even argue that there are two more stakeholders. The dancers are, under their parents, absolutely, 100%. But going back to what I was saying earlier, it needs to be something different for every stakeholder, right? Even for the other provider, sorry, the other stakeholder that I didn't mention yet is the registration providers, our media distribution partners,
Oh,
who
right.
are they're a very important piece to the competitive convention puzzle, right? They're not just competing, they're also going to conventions. They're also participating in examinations through, adapt syllabus or, other credentialing platforms. We can centralize those achievements behind an ID number, just everyone has to use it,
Mm.
right? So I think the pushback is not being aware that we are fully privacy compliant, that we are ushering forth a new era where we can work together. It doesn't matter that you might, have had something that happened between you and another person or another brand, and then you've gone your separate ways. That has nothing to do with the dancers. And it only makes it harder on the studios who have to register on one platform, then move to another platform, and then, send their family's data in every single direction. We're just trying to centralize it and trying to protect it. And again, PIPEDA, BIPA, GDPRK, COPPA, these are all existing privacy laws that we shoulder for our partners. And if you talk about the trickle down effect, that's where we're starting with the media providers. We're also, obviously helping the events be privacy compliant. It's helping the studios have assurances that we're protecting their data. But and then the families can, obviously get behind this, but we're also going bottom up, right? We're also trying to tell the parents that you should have control over your child's media. Absolutely. Once we go through that verification one time, we unlock that guardianship. That's an online connection that we can supply anyone we integrate with. And with that comes history, comes data that is anonymized. It's employing multiple factor authentication, so we have passkeys, authenticators to help strengthen logins on different systems like DanceBug. We're not hosting the media, Bryce. We're not changing that. It still lives in DanceBug where it always has, but we're adding a new level of verified guardianship and control that was not available before ICDR.
Love it. I think for if you're a studio owner, you haven't had the privilege of talking with Jamie or his team. If this feels a little bit like techno babble, where it just feels like I don't really get it yet, you will because I firmly believe based on just existing trends, you can look at anything now. This is the future. This is the future. You will be using this technology at some point, whether you fully cognitively, intellectually understand it or not. Look at anything, any government website now. You go log in to pay your taxes here in the United States. You're using your government ID, your driver's license to
Yes.
verify that you are who you say you are. I mean, this is just the way the world is going, and these are the securities and the protections that, especially as organizations that deal with minors,
Minors.
and let's be very real about that. It's dance, and so the costumes. I
Yep.
mean, you made the comment before. They're not decked out in hockey gear. It's form fitting attire that people might want to have for all kinds of reasons. And so this is the future, whether you get it or not. So, Jamie, I just want to give one more opportunity for studios who are listening to this going, okay, sort of get it, kind of get it, want
Mhm.
to know more. How can they get more plugged into your world? What do you have coming up that they can get into your spaces with you?
Well, I mean, what's really wonderful is if you believe in our mission and values, which is just to create safer and more fair experiences. As a studio director, you can go on icdrdance.com and learn all the different event partners that are championing this and our technology partner, starting with DanceBug, but speaking to many more providers in the background, trying to integrate with them. But we obviously are very busy with DanceBug because that's a lot of events. They're a wonderful technology partner that it took a while to get up to speed, but we're there, and that was our first kind of go with them. And now we're much more set up for the next partners. So studios can, verify their studio today. It's absolutely free. It takes minutes at home. You just send the link to your dance families. If you want to get more information, you can reach out to me. But there is a very important and exciting event that we have on International Dance Day. It's at 12:30 p.m. EST online so that all of our studio directors can learn the people, stories, mission, and events behind ICDR. And it's just the beginning. I know that a lot of events that have been sent emails that are a little bit confused with it, by it, will be on there as well. It's going to be a massive meeting led by Michael Ian Cedar of Legacy of You. He is a legend in the competitive world, and we are going to have some very special guests so that studio directors can learn more. This is raising awareness first. We are definitely wanting all the studios to be aware of our participant accident insurance, which in the States, I think is going to be a wonderful game changer because it covers the dancers at the studio level, at competition, in convention, at rehearsals, training, up to $25,000, no deductible, primary
Wow.
insurance. And those subscriptions come into play in the fall of 2026 for less than, I think it's $5 a month. Not I think, I know it's under $5 a month, under $60 a season, and you're getting all these benefits, including the safeguarded media, including a verified record, including support resources. You can learn more about Inside Dance Magazine. There are so many things that we want to help people learn about through this online event. So I know that you can send a registration link on our behalf. So if you want more information on that event, 12:30 p.m., April 29th, we're calling it Industry Alarm because it's alarming, some of the things that are happening, and we're inviting everyone to share their experience. It's not going to be me talking for 65 minutes. It's going to be lots of people. You will recognize some very big names, and I couldn't be more excited about it, to be honest.
Love that. Well, this is something that we at Dance Mush Marketing, and for those who know, we don't formally support or endorse vendors or platforms or softwares of any kind. We have made the decision to formally support ICDR in this mission just because the goal, I mean, who doesn't want safer kids? Who doesn't want more
Right.
fairness in competitive dance sports? So we have committed to that. You can find the information. You'll find it on our socials. We'll be promoting this through our organic communities online and directly below this, wherever it is you're watching your podcast or listening to your podcast, you'll be able to click that link to register as well. But Jamie, I'm really, really delighted that you came to share more of the ICDR story here on Dance Studio Advertising. It's important. I mean, this is if it's not for the benefit of the kids, then what the hell are any of us doing here anyway? And so I think you're
Bryce,
in the
I have
right
to say thank you
ballpark.
to you. I really have to say thank you to you because it's the people that take the time to kind of scratch their head about thinking about what this is, but what could this be? I know that your listeners have wonderful ideas on how, or concerns about live streams, about security in person, about so many things about the security of their media, about their data, about how difficult it is to move from one system to another when there's no kind of ecosystems that speak to each other. So reach out to me. This is a movement by everyone for everyone. This is not about control. It's about offering parents and dancers what I think is very overdue. And studios, will take some time as well to get behind this, but I think they're realizing it very quickly. And it's just going to be a snowball effect that, following 25 years in the industry, I could not be more proud that someone like you is taking the time to understand it, nodding their head, and then taking the time to educate and raise awareness. And let's talk, let's chat. That's what this is all about. So thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. More information forthcoming wherever you get your podcast. You can register. I highly recommend that you go and check out ICDR, learn everything you can about them. Because again, this is for the betterment of our kids and our dancers, keeping them safe, making dance fair. And honestly, who doesn't want to do that? So thanks for checking in. We'll be back same time, same place next week.